All right, so we all know the image, right? Che Guevara, beret, the stare. I mean, it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah. T-shirts, posters, it's practically a brand at this point. Revolution in a nutshell, or at least that's how it feels.
Exactly. But how much do we really know about the man behind the image, behind the poster? That's what we're going to deep dive today, and we're going about it in a way you might not expect. We're looking at the pasted text section of Che Guevara's Wikipedia page. Now, I know that might sound a little strange. Pasted text, not exactly the first place you'd think to go for a deep dive. Right. So explain this. What's so special about this section? Why are we even looking at it?
Well, see, most people, they read the main Wikipedia article, take it at face value. But the pasted text, that's where it gets interesting. Think of it like peeking behind the curtain, seeing how the sausage gets made. It's where editors debate, argue, bring in different sources, really hash out what goes in the actual article and what doesn't.
Okay, so it's not just random edits. It's like the battleground for Che's story.
Exactly. And trust me, in Che's case, there's a lot to battle about.
Okay, so before we jump into the nitty-gritty, for anyone who maybe just needs a refresher, who is Che Guevara?
Right. So Ernesto Che Guevara, born 1928, Argentina. Now, what's interesting, the guy was a doctor. Not exactly the first profession you think of when you picture a revolutionary, huh?
Right, okay, so how does that happen? Doctor to revolutionary icon.
Well, Che was never just content with, a comfortable life. As a young guy, he travels all over South America, sees poverty, injustice, things that would shake anyone up. And for Che, it lit a fire. Medicine, it just wasn't enough anymore. He had to do something.
So this background, this desire for change, that's got to play into how people view him, how they're debating his story in this pasted text section. Right?
Oh, absolutely. See, in the pasted text, we're talking about everything from his role in the Cuban Revolution, particularly his methods, which, let's be real, were controversial, to his actions in Bolivia, where it all unfortunately came to an end.
Okay, so less about like basic biographical stuff, more about the nitty-gritty, the stuff that people argue about even now. Can you give us an example from the pasted text that illustrates this back and forth?
Sure. One of the most debated aspects is Che's own writing. Some scholars, they'll point to his work as advocating for a more, shall we say, humane approach to revolution. Others, though, they see those same writings as justification for, well, violence, authoritarianism, not exactly peaceful stuff.
So how do you reconcile that? It can't be as simple as good guy, bad guy, right?
Exactly. And that's what's so revealing about this pasted text. You see it all laid bare, the different interpretations, the conflicting accounts. It's a reminder that even iconic figures like Che are complex. There's nuance, there's gray area.
Which I think is something we often forget. We put these figures on a pedestal, literally on posters, but we don't always grapple with their flaws, the contradictions.
Right, and that's what makes this so important. Because despite all that, Che's legacy, it endures. You see his image everywhere. But what does that image even mean without the full context?
It's almost like the image itself has become more powerful than the man, more powerful than the history. Why do you think that is? Why Che? Why now even?
I think it's because, at its core, that image, it represents something people still long for. That desire for a more just world, for standing up to power, for fighting for the little guy. That resonates. Even if his methods were flawed, even if his ideology is debated, that core idea, it speaks to something powerful.
It really makes you think if the Che we encounter is usually through this like simplified lens, this image divorced from the actual history, the debates we see playing out in something like this pasted text, are we missing the point?
That's the question, isn't it? It makes you wonder, how often do we do this with historical figures? Are we so busy simplifying, so busy looking for heroes and villains that we miss the bigger picture, the nuance that makes history so fascinating and complicated?
It's something to think about for